Guys, again, we want to give you the friendly reminder that we are going to be moving the popcorn culture video portion of the pop from the Super Carlin Brothers YouTube channel over to the Popcorn Culture YouTube channel, which is just youtube.com/popcornculture. That is going to be happening on August 13th. So we'll have 2 more weeks, status quo, and then after that, we will be in a new location with exactly the same product in every other way.
Exactly. So if you want to make sure you're not missing out on any future Popcorn Culture episodes, make sure you head over to the Popcorn Culture YouTube channel and just click that subscribe button, click the bell, make sure you are all sorts of notified, and then you won't notice any difference at all. And if you're listening to this only via audio, then nothing will change at all anyway.
Hooray!
Yay!
What's poppin', everybody? Hello and welcome to Popcorn Culture. My name is Ben Carlin and I am your host. Here with me today is my brother Jay, who will be in every episode.
That's me, Ben. I'm here. I'm co-hosting with you, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm so tired.
Okay, so Jay, you are coming off of a weekend. Is this your first solo weekend, dad status with all 3 boys?
I don't know if it's the first time. It might be with all 3 boys, and I dare say it wasn't just the typical weekend. You know, what you might think of as Saturday, Sunday plus Friday afternoon.
Sure.
You know, it was took the day off of work on Friday, took the following Monday off of work. So really a good solid 4 days in a row there.
4 days,
Yeah.
flying solo. The twins got sick.
Oh my gosh, dude. It was like the most. This whole weekend could have been a movie. I felt like it was just so predictable. Like, even going into it, I'm like, okay. Like, I remember once upon a time when we were kids, Mom and Dad went to go run a marathon. I believe it was the Rock and Roll Marathon in San Diego, California.
Okay.
And in order to do this, they had to be out of the house for like 3 or 4 days while they were across the country. And so our grandparents came all the way down from New York just to babysit us for 4 or 5 days in a row.
Right.
Oh my God. So nice of them to do that. We all promptly got sick. Like, all 3 of us, I want to say.
Like, horrifically.
Yeah.
I remember this might be the first time in my life that I remember being as sick as I was. Like, I remember waking up and being unable to keep my eyes open. And I came downstairs and I was like, it's like the funny thing I thought about this so much too, is when I was a kid, I didn't really realize that I was sick, so it was my head is hurting, but I never would have attributed that to the understanding that I was in fact ill. It would just be things are not as fast today, and it would just be like that. And so I remember I got downstairs and I was like, I cannot, my eyes just won't open. The light sensitivity is awful.
Ow.
And then I ended up, I think I may have been the first to go down, and I'm pretty sure it was the morning that Mom and Dad left.
Yeah.
I had not been conscious while they had been gone yet.
Yeah.
And chronically sick. So anyway, but that's exactly what happened to you.
Well, so that's exactly, I felt like I could almost call this shot, I think there is a certain parental inevitability of being alone with just the kids who have come down with an illness. And it was in my mind, my brain was working out the math sort of in the background, as if it was aware of this inevitability. Like some divine force was this is a thing that happens. It will happen to you.
Sure.
It's like how you have not spilled your drink for the last time.
Oh, yes.
Yes. You're going to spill your drink again.
Right.
And it's at some point, Ben, you who have a kid on the way, at some point you will be alone with the kids, plural, maybe, and they will be sick, and Alice will not be there, and you will have to solo mission it.
Oh dear.
I feel like this is a parental inevitability. If you're a parent watching or listening, please let me know if this has happened to you, because it's going to.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing too is that I feel like this was going to be a handful.
Yeah.
if everything had gone perfectly.
Yeah.
Like having 3 boys who are at least 3 and under, all like, just being able to like manage that, like bath times, meals, nap times, like doing all of those things and just not having like the extra set of hands just to like sort of be like,
oh, for sure. It was already going to be a lot of work. And it was like, it was just so frustrating because it was like my brain was doing the math in the background. And it was just like, now this is a weird opportunity because it's just Beth and she's going to be like, it's unusual for just Beth to have a like trip associated with it. And it was like the universe was just like, yeah, this looks like it's going to be the only one. And that means even though this should be a little more random, this is it.
This is it.
And so, but Beth left on Friday morning, and it was a very long day because I got to like say goodbye and help her, get ready to leave and stuff. So I'm starting at like 4 a.m. right out of the gate, and in some ways that was a blessing because it meant that I was like, well, I'm up. And I'll just like, I'll unload the dishwasher and I'll get everyone's milk and water and stuff ready. And like that whole first day, pretty good. Our mom came that evening to help watch the kids because I had to come here to work because we were doing a live stream for MuggleNet.
Let me just say though, because when you were coming, like I just worked a normal work day or whatever.
Yeah.
But like we were doing this stream from like 7 to 10-ish p.m.
Yeah.
And so like you're on your way into the office for the first time on this particular day.
Yeah.
And the way that I knew that you were like tapped is you sent a message to our office manager, Jordan, and said, could you get someone to pick me up a Monster energy drink?
Monster.
And I was like, Jay, I don't know if I've been so baffled at a request by you, like in such a long period of time. like I was like, he said what? And I was like, it must have been a typo. Like he wouldn't have. Surely he wouldn't have.
Like at most he might have asked to brew a pot of coffee or something.
Yes, yeah. No, Monster energy drink.
Would it have been as weird if I had said Red Bull? Would that have like raised some eyebrows, or was it like, oh man, he like crossed over?
I will say, no. I think Red Bull would have been more okay. I would have been surprised, but it would have been like, okay, like it's not been never that you and I have been tired enough that we resorted to a Red Bull, but we're typically coffee people in general. Like
we have a coffee company, CarlinBrothersCoffee.com. Check it out. It's amazing. We have candles. There's one on the table right here.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Look at that plug. So solid. But yeah, like we're coffee people. Like we're not like super energy drink people, or at the very least haven't been for a very extended period of time.
Yeah.
I do remember the very first time we ever got to go on vacation with our friends. We were in high school, and I believe maybe it was like the first year that you were driving, but we were going to have like 4 of us all going up to Vermont together.
Oh, yes, this ride.
And I do remember that like all of us were going and literally buying like 4 packs of like Rockstar energy drink or Red Bulls or like whatever the case may be. And we had like a cooler that had 30 energy drinks in it, and that was the product of like the 4 of us putting in focused effort to have as many energy drinks for this vacation as possible. And to us, that was just like, it was like, oh yeah, because we're on vacation. So like we can go all out.
We can go all. This was the same as like when we'd bring like 40 like Coca-Colas with us camping with the GMA
for one night.
For one night, but look at us. We're going crazy. We have soda, y'all.
Because what we need between 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. the next morning is 10 sodas each.
10 sodas. Bear in mind, at some point, we're definitely going to Waffle House where we'll also have coffee.
Yeah.
At like 2 a.m. or something.
So there periods of time, I would say it wouldn't have been nearly as unexpected.
Yeah.
But getting that request and Jordan telling me she was like, yeah, like he wants a Monster. And I was like, no, he doesn't. It's like
incorrect.
I was like, listen, you misunderstood. And sure enough, like
what he meant was like a monster-sized other drink or something.
A monster-sized ice water.
Yeah, like what he meant was Monster and like Wumbo, like that kind.
Right. Yeah. Like more of, but not the
brand name Monster.
Right. But no, so we get here and you had a Monster, and I was
did.
Man,
I rallied.
I felt like I was witnessing a rare bird.
Well, I can break you down the decision to go for the Monster Energy drink here, because you're right. Typically, I probably just would have gone for like a coffee or something, but I'd already been up since 4, and it had been a very long day of just taking care of, kiddos all day and stuff.
Sure.
And it was like this, there was this sort of weird feeling because I was up early. I sort of like got into that like in the zone point of like being awake at like 10 o'clock a.m. or something.
Sure.
And I was just like, man, I'm feeling good. I'm being so productive right now. I've got all the dishes put away. Despite I've got everyone down, I've been able to stay ahead of the mess. Everything's looking pretty good. And then sure enough, by like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, it was just like, I am getting, it was like basically bedtime for me,
right,
in terms of
right.
how long I'd been awake. And I was like, I gotta stay awake, and I could power through for a while. But by the time then, I was like, not only are we going to do this live stream, like trivia live stream, like we do on the show from time to time, but we were going to be on with MuggleNet, which is this like ginormous Harry Potter site that I've been reading for years.
Sure.
Which
yes.
is like, okay, like these, we're doing like this big collab. We're trying to like raise money for this charity. Just like, I really, this isn't. If it was maybe just regular trivia night, maybe I could just like mustered up some. When I said that incorrectly on purpose, but I could muster up some just energy and some enthusiasm. But I was like, no, I really got to be on because there's like more at stake on this particular one. So
yeah, and we were facing off against like these people who are I mean,
right. It wasn't even just that we were hosting with MuggleNet. We were facing off against them. So I was like, I got to be like mentally sharp because we can't like, I don't want to like look bad against another Harry Potter site.
I know. Yeah, it was like there are stakes.
There are stakes on this one, and so I didn't want to go for the coffee because I drink so much coffee that I don't feel like it really gives me quite like an energy boost the way it once upon a time did.
Sure.
And I was like, you know what? I need to like shock the system because I'm like, I need to be mentally prepared. And like, typically if I was going for an energy drink, it would probably be Red Bull. But as it were, that very week on Good Mythical Morning, they had done an episode called What Happens When We Drink As Much Monster Energy as Humanly Possible.
Oh, God.
By which they mean they had like a dietitian on site who said like, based on your body weight, this is the largest amount you should consume safely.
Okay.
And
okay.
I think it was like 5 cans or something, which they drank in like 15 minutes. So they're like immediately getting crazy hyper.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just sort of like watching their like creativity like explode out of them in that way, which is just a funny episode. But they were talking about the differences between like when they did this exact same episode with Red Bull versus Monster and how there were different ingredients and stuff. And I was like, okay, I would typically go for coffee, and if not coffee, I might opt for a Red Bull in rare circumstances. I need to totally shock the system with energy chemicals, I guess.
It sounds so bad.
It sounds bad when you say it like that. Yeah.
It didn't sound good from the start.
Yeah.
And it's gotten worse.
But you know what? I think I made the right call because I was very on point for the stream. And I think it's what I needed.
You did good. You did really good.
The problem was then, however, that it carried forward past the stream.
Oh, and then you couldn't sleep?
And so then I took like a Unisom to go to sleep
no.
later that night. So it was fine, but which made me sleep nice and long. And everyone else slept very long too. But then, I don't know, was it Saturday? It must have been, no. Saturday was pretty okay. Saturday was okay. I attempted to go to a Pokemon trading card game tournament to play in, because Beth's parents came to relieve me for like a couple hours, and I was like, I probably won't be able to stay the whole time, but maybe I can just play a couple games, get a little bit of experience under my belt. If I have to leave, so be it. Someone gets a free win, whatever.
Sure.
And we could talk about that more later. But everything was fine there. I got a little break that day too. That was good. But then Sunday morning, Sunday. This is when things started to go really south. Because now I'm 3 days in, so I'm already really tired. Wake up, and I see that Nick has just thrown up in his crib. And I was like, oh no, buddy, what happened? Because everything, nothing had seemed wrong. And my immediate assumption was just that he had maybe choked on something, or just had a bad spit up or something. Because he actually was acting completely like himself. He was very smiley, just immediately got up and started playing. And I sat him down. I got him and Nate up, and Nate looked fine. And, I gave them breakfast, and I'm upstairs like changing the sheets and stuff, and I come downstairs and I look at Nick and it's going again. And I'm like, oh no, this means you're actually sick. This is bad, not good.
Oh dear.
The only saving grace at this point was that it was just Nick and it was just the throw up. Everything else seemed totally normal.
That sentence, just the throw up.
Yeah, it's like, this is fine. Like, you know what? You threw up. The worst thing about throw up is that you have to clean it up, and it's gross and it smells bad. But once it's up, it's gone, right?
I think the worst thing is the words themselves.
I am actively aware of it, and I'm like, what word could we replace this with, just for the listener's sake?
Had sponges.
Had sponges.
Had sponges.
So Nick had sponges.
This
is already working.
Yes, I know. I feel way better about it because there's like a visceral reaction to the other thing, but sponges is fine.
Yeah, so there were sponges. I cleaned them up with sponges. No, I didn't. It was probably just like paper towels and stuff. I don't want to like waste a sponge, you know.
Well, certainly.
Yeah. Buy these sponges. Sponges ain't cheap.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Well,
my sponge budget is through the roof right now.
We have a sponge subscription.
Of course you do.
Yeah, and they're like Scrubby Buddies or something.
Scrub Daddies?
Nope, not Scrub Daddies, not the face things.
Oh.
It's a different sponge that Mom turned me on to, and it comes in like a 6-pack once a month, which is great because it means like if at any point, like historically in my entire life, if ever I've been like, I don't know about the sponge, but what's the other option? Wasting another sponge?
I am like a sponge hoarder.
Exactly.
It's like, I will have the issue of like, no, this is fine. It's fine.
It's still fine.
And like I'll like run it for too long, and then I feel like what happens is I get like fed up with the idea of how long I ran the sponge, and then I'll go through the other new one in like the 2-pack like way too quickly because I'm like last time it went too long, and I don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a question for you. I don't actually know the answer, and maybe you don't either, but I'll just throw it out there.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of like microwaving your sponge as a way to like desanitize it? No,
I have heard of this. I've never done it.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, somebody out there is going to have to let me know whether or not that actually makes a difference.
Sounds like a burnt popcorn question.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. We'll have follow up.
We will. We'll have
okay.
follow-up.
So anyway, but so one kid had sponges.
Yeah. Nick had sponges, and then he went on again to just be totally fine. I was like, okay. Chances are you're not fine. So I'm just going to switch you over to a very light diet. You get nothing but water from now on until further notice.
Okay. Until no sponges.
Until no more sponges. And the rest of the morning, he was totally fine. We went down for naps, and I got up, and I walk in the room, and I could smell the sponges, Ben.
Oh, no.
I know. I was like, what's this? What's
sponges?
this? More sponges? But I'll walk over to Nick, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's just like coming from the diaper pail or something, which is by the door. So I'm like, maybe because that's where I put the paper towels from earlier.
The previous sponges.
Yeah, the previous sponges. So I was like, maybe that's where it is. Not the case. Nate has now had sponges.
No, he hasn't.
Nate has had sponges. And I'm like, no! This is even worse because it's like, oh, not only does this mean that Nick's thing was not just a Nick thing and he's fine, it means it was contagious.
and now
Nate has it. Now this is like proof of like absolute stomach bug. And now I'm like, what could we have all eaten that could have done it? And I'm pretty sure what happened was that that Beth dropped Nick and Nate specifically off at some like Mother's Morning Out thing at church on the previous Thursday. It's the only time the two of them would have been isolated away from everyone else, and they were the only two that were affected. So I think that must be where it was from.
They caught sponges.
Which is a real bummer. Fortunately, Luke, I say that I'm going to knock on wood right now, has thus far showed no symptoms. I have showed no symptoms, but that was on a Thursday and they started sewing on Sunday. So who's to say that now I'm like approaching the 3-day mark myself, and I'm like, but I would have been around them on Thursday, so I don't know.
True.
Yeah.
True.
You'd think by now I'd have shown any symptoms that I was getting it, but we'll see. Hopefully nothing.
Yes, I would like for this to continue to be a sponge-free environment.
Me too. So yeah, Nate had sponges, and then I had to repeat my entire morning of like, you're on a very basic diet now too. Nothing, you get water, you get crackers, you get just, some pasta and toast and stuff like that.
Sure.
Very simple. And at least they were just still themselves. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I don't know what this is. Maybe it was just like a one-time sponges deal. But then putting them to bed, they finally started getting fevers, and that was bad. And then, so all of Monday was pretty rough because they had just fevers all day. And Yeah, they get very pathetic when it's very pitiful.
It's so sad.
It's so sad. They just cried, and you don't know if it's because they're tired, because you need to go back to sleep, or you just hungry because you're not really eating a lot. Do you just not feel good? Ugh, it's hard to know. Hard to know exactly what's going on. And then my only source of potential relief was that this is the day Beth is coming back now, and I was like, at least by like 5 o'clock, Beth will be home. But oh my goodness, were the thunderstorms for real in Charlotte? So she gets like out of the Bahamas, okay, and gets into Charlotte, where she has to like sprint to catch her plane. She gets on the plane, she sits down, she's like, oh, made it, and then gets promptly stuck in the plane for like a total. I think she was in the plane for a total of 5 hours.
Oh,
I know, like
man,
it is less than an hour flight, you know.
Right. Yeah, it's like you're a puddle jumper at that point.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a 3-hour drive. You know,
right.
Had you just gotten in the car,
could have just walked home.
Basically. So what should have been like a 5 o'clock return home ended up being more like a 10 o'clock return home, and that was a real bummer. So I had to go through the whole process again. But yeah, it was a very long time, very long weekend, and of course. When both the twins are sick, they command way more of your attention because you got to make sure they're okay, and that's what Luke does not like, is when you're not paying attention to him. It's like not only can I not pay attention to him, but you are not allowed to go near them.
Right. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, so what I actually do think is slightly hilarious about this is that we have a Patreon perk that we record after every episode that we call After the Final Pop, where we just record an extra 10-15 minutes each week, where we just dive into a different topic, something we didn't get to during the main episode, and that's available on Patreon. And literally last week's episode that came out on Friday was almost entirely the discussion about the fact that you were heading into a solo dad,
yes, and
multi-day weekend.
It was. If you're a member of the Patreon, you can go listen to. If you haven't listened to that After the Final Pop, go do it. But yeah, it was about how people were like leading up to this week. People kept saying, I kept telling people, oh yeah, it's just me and the boys all weekend. Beth's heading off to the Bahamas or whatever. And it was the reaction I was getting from people of like, oh, you think you can handle it? Like from I guess because I'm dad and I'm not mom,
right?
And this is gonna be like, I don't know if you can handle the kids by yourself. And it was like, I think I was wearing that like that like badge as well. I'm just like, oh, I can do it. Like,
I can do it.
Of course I can do it. Everyone is really it feels like people are underestimating me here. And so, like, hilariously, it was like Monday evening. I'm like putting Luke to bed. Like the whole weekend's and Dad calls me and he's like, "Hey, I just saw on Beth's story that the kids are sick," because I've been communicating with her, and she's like, "Oh, is there anything we could do? Like, I wish you'd said something. We could have came and helped." And I was like, "Yeah, it's okay. I got it." I was like, "No,
I'm proving a point."
To who? I don't know.
Okay. But I have to ask you this question because I think it's an interesting segue into something I've been thinking about a little bit recently, which is the motivational force that is proving someone wrong.
Oh, it's a tremendous force, Ben.
But it's like I don't want it to be.
I know exactly what you mean. It's like it seems like it's like getting things done for the wrong reasons.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like you know what? I'm gonna improve my life just to show you.
Yeah,
that's it.
This is the epitome, which is one of my top least favorite words, spelling wise.
Oh, epitome.
Epitome.
Yeah, that word can take a walk. It can take a hike.
Bottom 10 words. Epitome. But this is. Have you ever heard of the phrase of breakup bods?
Yes, I have, and it makes me really mad.
It's the worst. It's just like, oh, you dumped me? Guess what? I'm getting in shape. And it's just like, it just seems so spiteful.
It seems very spiteful, and it's also one of those things where it's like, it's like the idea of being like, oh, I'm being broken up with, now I'm going to take care of myself. And it's like, well, I mean, I'm glad that you were taking care of yourself. I wish that the inspo maybe came from something else.
Right.
But okay, so I have to tell you, because I had a situation happen over the weekend that is very, very similar. So Alice and I broke up. No, I'm just kidding.
As I'm taking a sip.
I know. Total spew moment.
Yeah.
Or
sponge moment.
Wow. Good save. Good save. No. So we went tubing, and this has actually just become like a really good way to spend time with Alice's side of the family, because everybody really enjoys doing it. And there's a great place on the James River that's close enough to us where we can go and kind of make a day out of it. And you just get to be in the water, and everybody just hangs out, and it's a good long fun day.
Yeah.
So I was out there, and one of the people who was with us was making the comment, and it sort of like snowballed a little bit, but like I do lots of like yard work and outside work, and I had spent the entire day prior running like a stump grinder with Dad, where I had literally just been like literally standing in direct sunlight for the entire day,
right.
running a piece of heavy machinery. And so one of the people who's with us is like commenting on the fact that I have like a farmer's tan. So like, like my arms are tan, but my shoulders aren't.
Right.
And it like unfolded in a way that I was like, oh no, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. My nightmare. But it was like you got such a farmer's tan. That's hilarious. It's like a dad tan. You've got like a dad bod. And I was like, hold up. What? And like I'm sitting in a tube, which is not like, honestly, like probably the most flattering position for anybody. By definition, you're sort of like curled in.
You're just sort of, like flumped together there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Flumped together.
Yeah, flumped together, as opposed to flomped, which is a whole different verb.
Entirely. Yes. Webster Dictionary is going to call us at some point in time and be like, these boys, we need them.
Yes.
Someone, we need to amend what sponge means.
Yeah.
But
also add in flomp and flump.
Right. Yes. But so, okay. So like, I'm like, it's one of these like just total offhand comments that I know that the person was like so not intending to like make me feel, self-conscious or like concerned about myself or anything. But it was totally like lived in the back of my brain for the rest of the day. I was like, oh no, do I need to like, am I not like, because I work out a fair bit, I would say. I put like a pretty...
You do not have a dad bod.
Okay. Well, so
and you guys can't tell because Ben has a shirt on, but he's pretty shredded over there.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, exactly. You're welcome.
This is solving my brain problem. But so anyway, the whole day though, and this is what actually made me think about being motivated to prove somebody wrong. But we are getting ready. The same person is going to be at our good buddy Mike's wedding week, which is maybe at this point in time like 10 days away.
What?
Wow. I know, it's so close. Where we're going to be like at this like great big house. There's like a community. There's a pool that is specifically just for the house. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna be like shirtless and like next to the pool all week. I'm like, what do I need to do between now and then to fix this problem? And I was like, that's it. I'm gonna be doing 3 days. I mean, what do I need? I mean, should I just be eating watermelon? Like,
you need some Monster Energy. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. So my mind immediately starts going into like overdrive of like, okay, what do I have to do to like fix this? And then the other part of me is like, you're pretty steady with this anyway. Like, why all of a sudden did this like one offhand comment drive me into such a thought spiral?
Right.
To where I'm like, I got to change everything about the way I'm approaching my health right now. Yeah. So then it really got me. Yeah.
So what were you doing? Did you do something on the tubing ride to like prove them wrong?
No. I mean, this was like the rest of the tubing ride. I was like, well, what do I need to change about my life?
You're like planning out your strategy of how you're going to prove them wrong.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
It's like, okay. If that's the case, I'm going to be more ripped than I've ever been in my entire life just because this one comment you made, and I'll show you, and it's like, really, what, show them what,
right.
Like, so I don't know. I mean, I took it way too seriously. Was being way too sensitive for sure. Alice assured me of that. Mm-hmm. So I'm fine. It's no big deal. I'm working on it.
You need a spray tan?
I probably will get a spray tan.
Mm-hmm.
I probably will get a spray tan. So this is something that I swear Alice came into our lives. The Carlin crew, the Carlin clan,
Yeah.
our home family as we grew up and everything. And I feel like this was like something that maybe everybody in our family like wanted to do. Like we talked several weeks ago, I think on the pop, about how in high school I had like really bad acne, and I had heard that having a tan helps make acne less bad. And so I always wanted to go to like a tanning bed, but I never felt like I could go because I was afraid that like
You'd be judged for it.
judged for it. And so I think similarly it was like, oh, okay, well, there's spray tans, and spray tans are not like, wildly unhealthy, and there are like organic spray tans and like all this other type of stuff. But still, it was like something that it felt like the decision to go and do that is directly tied to vanity in a way that's like that I think is actually like incorrect. Like you think it's tied to vanity, but it's like if you do something that like makes you feel more confident in your own skin, then like I feel like I can encourage that. Like, I think that that's I'm not saying anybody needs it. I'm saying if it makes you feel better, then that's a good thing.
Right.
And if it's not harming your body in some type of like negative, chemical, permanent, problematic way.
Tans are such an interesting one because it's like if you go to like a tanning bed or something and just get blasted with the UV rays like up close or whatever.
Right.
Like to me, it's like, one, there's like the negative association, with the vanity. And then there's two, it's like, this could maybe give you skin cancer, which is bad. And then there's three, which is like, are you a little bit cheating? Like doing this, like other people had to work hard and be outdoors in the sun, even maybe laying on towels. Like
towels.
You like what a fake artificial tan you got from the same thing. You didn't even work for it. You weren't even outside. Wow. You know what I mean? It's like, it's such a weird thing with tans. Because like, even if you got a tan the natural way, like from the sun, it's still not great for you.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, people are outside. It always makes me feel like a little weird when people are like, it's like, if you're outside long enough, you'll just get a tan. And it's like, I don't really think you can be outside too much. Well, that's always a sentiment I don't like either.
This is like one of those things where it's like, I'm not a doctor. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's kind of like going to a tanning bed on a regular basis where you are just like putting yourself into a chamber where your entire body is being blasted all at once by it. It feels like that is an extreme concentration of all the worst parts of it. But then like the argument in my brain, I guess that would be spinning is that it's also healthy to be outside. Like, you get vitamin D from the sun,
right,
which is like a healthy thing to like for mental health and all sorts of other stuff as well. Mm-hmm. So like, I feel like I'm okay with being outside and getting a tan because I'm outside doing things.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
Me too.
But here's what I think happened, because Alice is telling me, she's like, half of your family has texted me about what the spray tan situation is going into Mike's wedding. And what happened was she came in and she just made it okay for everybody to like do this all of a sudden, because like she does it and it just makes her feel more confident. And I think that because of that, it's almost like now you had like that friend who can get you into the club or something, even though you don't need a friend to get in the club. The door's just open.
Right.
It was like, now you can like guide you there. It's like, oh, okay. The barrier to entry has gotten smaller.
It's like it's very weird because very clearly there was some sort of like something about the culture of our family specifically must have like shut this door like in everyone's brain.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, let me talk about that for a second, because I feel like I think growing up and seeing characters like Gaston, from Beauty and the Beast or something.
Yeah.
Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. You were seeing someone who is who is cocky and arrogant in like all of like a very like negative way.
Yeah.
And I think somewhere along the way that my brain started like delineating like confidence is that confidence is being arrogant and cocky. And it's like, that's not how it works.
Right.
It's like it's okay to be confident, but I think that was something that like my brain fought every step of the way, especially like going through high school. It was like I could never like latch on to anything long enough to where I was like, I would almost feel self-conscious at any point in time for feeling confident.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. I mean, I think I experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
It was like the line between the two things seemed like so razor thin that you may as well just stand over on the other side.
Yes.
Like, just don't even get near the line, just
Right. Which is a weird thing though, because I think that like there is probably that question of who are like the characters that you can like look to in, these stories that you watch when you're growing up and stuff like that teach you good confidence.
right.
Like is there like a character who like really nicely embodies?
I mean, weirdly, the answer is probably just the hero of almost every story, though.
Well, it is, but like, I think like when you look at Harry from Harry Potter, for example, he is not someone who I think is a great case study in confidence.
Okay.
Like Harry deals with imposter syndrome for an enormous amount of the story.
Sure. Okay.
Like he doesn't really see himself quite as capable as he actually is. And in some ways it's almost because the reason that he's capable it almost does go beyond some of the parameters. It goes beyond like his own training and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It is prophetic in nature.
Right. That's true.
So who else can we assess?
I don't know. Would you say like Captain America is probably pretty good? Like Steve Rogers?
See, Cap is an odd one. Cap is an odd one too, because like you have the young Steve Rogers who is like, Bucky Barnes' best friend, and he's kind of like the scrawny little guy who can't get into like the military because he's got all these like health afflictions and stuff. And he's a very good person, but like that it would be a very interesting case study to assess Steve Rogers and figure out whether or not him as a character is confident.
Oh, I think, well, you're right. It is tricky though as well, because a lot of the confidence might be sourced from being a super soldier,
Certainly.
It's like it's one thing to be confident about your abilities as a regular person. Like when you literally have an actual scientific superpowered advantage, it's probably a lot easier to be very confident.
Okay, but I think one thing you said there that I also think plays into this really nicely, because I deal with this a lot myself, is I can be confident in some of my abilities. Like I am aware of the fact that there are things that I am good at. And what is interesting to me is that like when I find myself in situations where I feel significantly less confident, my mind will like immediately start jumping to these scenarios where it's like, well, how can I get this person who is making me feel maybe not even the person, because I wouldn't want to put that on anybody. I would say this circumstance is making me feel not confident. And what I would like to do is take all of the people here to a place where I am confident so that they can like see me in this different light. It's like I have the ability to be confident when I am like when I am near one of my abilities that makes me confident.
Right.
But it's like, but I can't just take the confidence that I have, in my ability to mountain bike or something and then apply that confidence to this task that I've never done before.
Right. You have confidence, you have like localized confidence, not like overall.
Right. And I think the difference is, when do you have confidence? You can have confidence in your abilities. And I would say that like, if you are a professional at something, if you have done a job for a very long period of time, if you are committed to a sport that you have been able to excel at, a video game, don't let my examples limit the categories, but you can have confidence in those things but not have confidence in yourself. And I think that it's that question of like, how do you build that confidence in yourself where you can be self-assured,
right,
confident, aware of your own self-worth,
right?
Because these are things that I think really come into play, maybe in a lot of ways, in like a romantic way, like attempting to date. Like one thing that I tend to say, or that I have seen, is that I think that the person that you are dating is very frequently a reflection of your own sense of self-worth. So like if you have that one friend who like consistently is dating someone and you're like, you're great, this person is less great. Why what happened? You know, it's like what I think is happening there is that they have a low measure of their own self-worth, and so they are choosing somebody that they think matches how they see themselves.
Right. It's like, this person makes lots of very obvious bad decisions all the time. Clearly, you even can see that. Like, why are you dating?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you're able to, like, I can talk to you and you can identify these things. Like,
Yeah.
I know it's not even that you're like missing them. It's like I know that you know.
Like, this is bad. This is a toxic environment.
Right.
Walk away.
Walk away. And so that becomes that question of self-esteem. And I think I would say for myself, and again, it's probably always best to speak from your own experiences rather than trying to put them on other people.
Yeah.
But I would say that this was like a big thing for me going through high school, and I would say it got even significantly more magnified when I got to college. But it was like the extremely limited expectation that like anybody would want anything to do with me, like in this particular sense, like that it would never be okay to, like, you know, spot a girl from across the classroom and be like, hi, do you want to go get lunch? Yeah.
Right.
You know, like, because like that would be like so absurdly forward.
Right.
And like, not that it would be assuming, but like my fear would be that it would have that effect or something.
Right.
But it's very possible that wouldn't have been the case. You know, like it could have
Yeah.
just been the type of thing where it'd be like, yeah, absolutely, that sounds great.
I mean, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and that fear of that, like, oh, like you are not like worth that person's time, to where that wouldn't be like a good thing. Where the weird thing is that, like, your own self-assurance might be specifically like what is attractive had you just done it. But like, you don't have the self-assurance to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's, yeah. I think that's extremely well said. It's
Yeah.
like, and that's probably where, in a lot of ways, like we watch the dating show, The Bachelor and The Bachelorette.
Oh, yeah.
And I think very frequently you see very early there's always a situation where, like, the you know, the air quotes jerk of the house almost always catches the attention of the Bachelor or the Bachelorette, like day one, week one, early. And it's always the case that it's like the person that the main person has like chosen or has focused on or given the most time to or opened up to the most. And then it's so hard to assess too, because everyone else dislikes that person. And it's like, do they dislike that person out of just pure jealousy? There's certainly that possibility.
Yeah.
But it also very frequently seems like the rest of the house is correct. And like
Right.
what they've found is like, you maybe like this person because they are far and away the most confident, but that confidence is like a skill.
Right.
Does that make sense?
I think I know what you're trying to say.
So it's like they're very likable very quickly because they're able to like put on that confidence.
like they're like
charm.
very charming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like
They're good at being charming, good at talking to people.
Exactly.
Even if they are not necessarily a good person.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so I feel like season in, season out, you see this always happen. And I think possibly the producers even know that this will happen because it makes for good TV or good drama.
The question is, do the producers know, and are they able to like arrange it when they're picking people, or is this just like Lord of the Flies? You know, is it is this like, it doesn't matter what group of people you put in there, this will always happen.
Sure.
You know, somewhat like the natural selection will occur. Someone, no matter what, is the most confident. Like out of them, even if in general you have a ton of very low confidence people, someone will like the person who, like, even if you have a bunch of like out of 10, you got like 9 ones and a 2. That 2 is going to rise up.
Right.
You know?
Yes. And this happened to me, I think at summer camp one year. I used to go on these like canoe outings where
Yeah.
you would be out there for like a week and you would travel like 60 miles on like the New River or something. And then you'd be making stops every like 10, 12 miles a day and you get through the whole thing. And whenever I would go and do these, I had like my one friend, like family friend who like I would go and do them with. So I knew like one person. And it seemed like every time I went, it was the same thing. Like I would get there and like my confidence level would be like very low. I would assume that I was like far and away the worst canoeer there, that I was going to have to like be really like, like quiet and calm and like maybe slowly like speak up as like any amount of confidence came to.
Right.
And on both trips that I went on, I did find that like the second or third day in, it was a situation where somehow, some way I realized that like these people did like me, or they did look up to me, and like it was like a really weird effect that I remember it having like on my psyche, where it was all of a sudden I was kind of like, everybody's like following everything I say.
Weird.
You know, and it's like this is like really odd, or like, if two people are having an argument and I interject, the tide is going to go with me.
Right.
And it's like, this has not happened before. And it could be the case that you're dealing with, 9, 10 kids versus like a classroom.
You've activated a superpower or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I have 2 stories about this.
Okay.
One was a similar situation where it was my first year at college and I signed up for like some sort of like outdoor rock climbing excursion.
Yes.
Yeah. It was very fun. And it's typically one of these things where in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to go do this as like a way to make friends. But then you show up and you find out that everyone else who's done it has decided to do it as existing friends. You're like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Oh, man.
I thought everyone here would be trying to meet people. And okay, whatever. It's fine. It's cool. We'll just we gotta roll with it.
What that shows, though, is that you have guts.
Right.
Like that you it's like everybody else was like, I got like 4 friends who agreed to do this with me.
Yeah.
you were like, I showed up alone.
Yeah. I want to rock climb, please. This will be fun.
Right.
You guys will like rock climbing and we will do it. And then, yeah. So anyway, though, we went, and throughout the course of the day, it slowed, like, even though I think everyone there had basically never been rock climbing except for like the instructors or whatever. Everyone was basically like interested, like, this would just be a fun thing to go do today.
Sure.
Yeah. But so by the end of it, I think it had become apparent, much to the surprise of even myself, that maybe I was the best person at the sport.
Okay.
Besides the people who were instructors who went and did this like on the weekly.
Sure.
Or whatever. But it was quickly apparent that I was the best one there. It was very weird. Like by the end of the day, it was like everyone like, it was like, oh, this guy, he knows what's up. He's good. Yeah,
like,
let's try that rock. Jonathan, go try it. Like, let me boulder up here.
Do you think it made you better?
Well, Ben, as is the case with stuff like this, it's like the moment you think you look cool, you discover you've had your pants on backwards all day or something, know?
Yeah.
And so for a moment, it's like, yes, at first I do think that was the case. It was like, oh man, like, let's go try that one, or let's go try that one. And we'd go and be like, oh my God, I made up another one. This is amazing. Like, how cool. And then we're like leaving, and there was like one more. I was like, ooh, can we go try it? Let's go do that one. And I made it up it, fine. But then the down climb, Ben, the down climb was no good.
Oh no.
Down climbing, if you don't know, way harder to go down than it is to go up. We were just bouldering. There's no ropes. There's just natural rocks. It wasn't like a big mat pad at the bottom or anything. I mean, they had like crash pads, but whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anyway.
Which are kind of like really, really hard mattresses that you lay on the ground.
Yeah. So anyway, I was down climbing the last rock of the day, and so I'm, as tired as I would be, and I could feel it happening. I was like, I'm losing grip on the rock, and it was just like, my feet aren't on anything, and if I let go, I'm going to fall and hit the ground hard. Oh, no. And it was like there's time slows down, and there's like 3 seconds of just knowing like the thing I'm holding, I do not have a good grip on, and I am losing grip, and there's nothing else for me to grab, and my feet are on nothing, and it's getting worse. It's getting worse. And then it's like, and then you're just falling, and it's like this terrible, like there's no like, how fast can I solve this problem? There's no solving it.
Right. Yeah.
It's like
time is running out. So fast.
Like there's nothing to grab. And then I fell, and I like landed on my like ankle, and it didn't break. Thank goodness. Although it may as well have. Like it almost would have been better, because then I would have like actually gone to a doctor and seen it, and they were just like, no, you can move it, you're good. It was like swollen to the size of a softball for like 3 weeks. I was limping around campus. It was terrible. Awful.
No.
I was any confidence I had, gone. Shot right out the window.
You almost had it.
Almost had it. What was my second story about? Oh. This is my other superpower story, where suddenly it felt like you could like control the other people or something.
Okay.
We were at cross country camp.
Yes.
You remember it, Appalachian State University.
Yes,
Yeah.
in Boone, North Carolina.
In Boone, North Carolina. So something that would frequently crop up as an activity between runs was poker. Do you remember this?
I do remember this.
Yeah. So people would come and we just like play Texas Hold'em between runs. And I will tell you that I've, throughout being a teenager and playing poker with like chips and stuff, it was always basically just complete actual gambling. Like, oh, maybe, like any amount of skill that came along with like bluffing or reading the other person's cards or faces or expressions. None of that never really came into play. However, at cross country camp, I don't know if the difference was that we didn't play with chips. We just played with like actual change or something.
Let me comment on that real quick.
Yeah.
I do remember the very first year we did this, it seemed like everybody had change, from like the gas station, like in your backpack just from years of lunch money excess that had kind of compiled. But like it seemed like across the 15 guys who were on the team who were all playing together, there might have been like between $12 and $14 in like miscellaneous change.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like there was a very finite amount of this resource.
Yeah.
So like the idea of like winning like 4 quarters on a single hand was like, it was like, whoa. That was
a big win.
That was a big win. And I mean, even like, it was like 3 pennies, it's like, oh man.
Yeah, you're only playing
what
for
has he
like,
got?
you're not playing with much sense on the table.
Yeah. So like, absolute best case scenario for the person who won everything at the end, the entire Ziploc bag's worth of change.
Exactly.
Was going to be walking home with like, $14.
Yeah,
or
like
something.
$14, $15 or whatever.
It made the currency feel so important.
It did. And this is like the power of like microtransactions and stuff.
Sure.
Like when you're playing on your phone or something and you buy some sort of like in-game currency and then like you spend that currency and it just feels fine. That's having the chips. That's why you have the chips, right? Because you don't feel that bad about betting away these chips. These aren't real money, but they are real money.
They are real money.
The difference is I always thought that was the difference, is that we were playing with actual change. And even though it was, like pennies, nickels, dimes, a big win would have been like a whole dollar in one hand.
Right.
That like, okay, $1, not a big deal. But like the difference on everyone's psyche was like so obvious. And I do not know what it was, but it happened 2 years in a row though. While we were playing poker, it was like I had a superpower and like I could just control everyone on the table. Like I would look at my hands and I would just like either know whether I should fold or go. And I could know exactly, like I could just look around and be like, okay, that's what that's showing. And you could just tell like, oh, what they bet? They're bluffing. What they bet? They've got something good. I have something better. It was like, I could not tell you what it was about it, but it felt like I could just like will what was happening at the table, like hand after hand.
That's
like,
wild.
It was unbelievable. And I was like, the first time it happened, I was like, that was like, oh man, I just won like a bunch of hands. I walked away with more money. This was crazy.
It worked.
But then the next year it happened again. And I was like, something is happening. Like, I don't know what is going on in my brain right now, but it was like, I don't know. I could just read everything.
Well, it's fascinating too, because people always talk about this idea of like beginner's luck,
Yeah.
So like you can go out and you can like do something. And I sometimes I do think there is like an odd line where you're like, enough to be dangerous, but not too much to be anxious.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, if everybody knows you as good, then it's like, oh, you have, on top of everything else, the additional pressure of then like performing.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of times like I have used the word like the underdog advantage when it comes to like competitive play, because probably also because I'm a Virginia Tech Hokies fan who the Hokies lose to the underdogs. What I have to imagine is statistically more than any other team. But it's like you come in and you can like watch these, Tech is like a Division I team. You can watch this Division II team come in, and it's like to the Division II team that might be like 0-4 versus like the 6-0 Hokies. It's like if like winning this game is like winning the world championship. It's like we will flood the field. It doesn't matter. We haven't won a game this whole season. Like beating this team is remarkable.
Right.
Like it's a trophy we get to keep, even though there's no trophy, even though this isn't a televised event, even like all of those things. It means so much to those people. And if they start getting like that edge, it's like, it's on. We can do this. Like we can win.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, I think you have two things happening where, the person who is expected to win, it's like now they're gripping onto something with their entire might, and it's like they're over gripping it.
Yeah.
Whereas the other team is like they've got everything firing on all cylinders. Like everything feels natural. It's like everything we do is winning. Everything we do is working.
Yeah, it's like you're just running straight up the middle. Somehow there's a gap every time. You're like, how is this happening? This shouldn't be happening.
But like the question to me is like that team on that day, if you could take all of those people firing on all cylinders, it's like, are they just literally like in that moment a truly spectacular team?
Oh, this is a crazy thing just in sports though. Like, yes, the answer is yes. Like, I think they could beat anyone if you swapped players. Like, all of a sudden, it doesn't matter. They're just like firing, and you see this happen I think in basketball specifically a lot.
Okay.
Like this happens like on a dime where all of a sudden like you go back and forth and be like, oh yeah, basket here. Each team will be scoring baskets back and forth. Maybe one team scores 2 in a row. Maybe the other gets, 5 or 6 points ahead. But all of a sudden someone will get like a steal and they'll just get a breakaway and they'll go boom, slam dunk. And then like they'll intercept the throw in from the other team in another shot, and then it's like they miss it, they get a and it's like all of a sudden like the momentum is just like visceral, like you can feel it in the air, and it's like nothing is going to stop this team right now, and nothing except timeouts, which is and like you'll see coaches do it. Like the coaches will recognize, like the team who's on the the receiving end of the beating here,
right?
Like they'll be like timeout, like stop, like because they know their team has been all of a sudden just like something is wrong. Everything is clicking on the other side in like a way that is like magic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Yeah. It's like you've like let go of everything. It's like you've let go of all insecurities. It's like you have pure belief in yourself. And it's like, I mean, I feel like I've had it on a handful of occasions in my life, and it's like it is like this unstoppable feeling. It's on. And like I can do anything right now.
Yeah. So that's being in the zone, I guess. I don't know.
How do we get here, though?
How did we get here? We were talking about confidence. Yeah, poker.
Yeah.
Confidence, all that stuff. We've segued a few times, as is the custom here on the pop.
Right. Yes. Well, I mean, we can potentially just change, right?
Yeah,
change.
we can take, we can change wherever we want, man.
Transition. Here we are. We're still in the exact same spot, but still. Okay, so there's another thing that I wanted to talk about because it's like it's closing in around me right now in this way that I'm like, oh man. Like I've been like aware of it, and I've been like kind of telling some of my friends about it, like in a very like deep thought, conceptual kind of way.
Oh, here we go.
But like the as it draws nearer, I'm like, no, this is real. This is totally real. This has been a thing that I didn't realize I was relying on, and now it's about to expire. And now, okay.
What you got?
Okay, so we have talked about the TV show Survivor before. You've watched a ton of it. You've applied for the show.
I have
all sorts of stuff. During COVID, Allie and I watched quite a bit of it, got pretty in tune with it. And one of the things that I remember one of the characters talking about as a strategy somewhere along the way was keeping a person around specifically as sort of like
as a shield. Yeah.
The
player in question is Tony, who is one of two-time champions.
Got it. Okay. So spectacular at it. And it's like the idea behind it, and it feels so counterintuitive, but it's like, hey, who is the most athletic, charming, good-looking person here? Keep them. Keep them at all costs. It's like everybody else sees them as a threat, which means they don't see me as a threat.
Exactly.
And it's like I am smart enough to see the big picture. Eventually, it will not be hard to get everybody on board to get rid of the extremely charming, good-looking, athletic person who's going to win everything.
Right.
It's like this person is a walking bullseye.
Yeah.
It's not a hard sell. So keep them here.
Exactly.
And then at some point in time, I'll just be able to be like, how about this person now?
How about this person now? Because they're going to win, and we can't has that. The problem is, if you get rid of them earlier, then suddenly, I'll just use Tony as the example. His argument would be like, if I get rid of them, suddenly I'm the good-looking, charming, athletic person who everyone's going to want to get rid of.
Right, but nobody's looking at me because they're all looking at Malcolm.
Exactly.
You know, and
Exactly.
it's like, yeah, it's like, so, okay, I've been having this exact thing. That this feels like very like, that feels like from like very manipulative standpoint. This is less that, but more the pending pregnancy, which we are now getting closer to. We're at, as of recording, 26 weeks in. And we keep talking about our good buddy Mike's wedding is now like 10 days out, and his wedding, like, I am the best man and Alice is the maid of honor, and like our dad is performing the ceremony, so we're like pretty heavily involved
Yes.
in this wedding,
Right.
and so as a result it's been like a somewhere I've been able to put a ton of mental energy.
Yeah.
And it's been like, I've been able to be focused on it. I'm extremely excited about it. It's been like a total blast for me, like to get to be so involved, which if you are at the age where you are not quite at the point where like your friends and such stuff are getting married, all weddings when you are involved with the wedding is way more fun.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's like you are royalty for that day.
Yeah.
You at the wedding party is like that is like the leader, the fun leaders.
Exactly. Yeah. Like everybody's like looking to you.
Yeah, like
it's
you
like
set the tone.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like one of the days where you get to know that you get to have like that superpower for the
Yeah.
day. It's like planned.
Yeah.
So anyway, but the big thing is that it's been my shield on like my nerves about our due date.
Oh.
Because it's been like the whole time it's like, look, before she ever gets here, we've got this huge occasion we have to get through.
Mm-hmm.
Like that like there is so much focus that needs to be put into that before like the nursery needs to be made, before I need to start like hanging pictures on the wall and like assembling things and like, you know, I don't know, figuring out like which bottles we're going to use and stuff like that. Like all of those like questions.
Yeah.
And I feel like what's happening now is it's like, oh man, I'm like 2 weeks away from my shield being gone. And then it's going to be like all of a sudden the full weight of this thing is going to come all at once.
Like all of the nerves you've had, you've been able to be like, don't worry, nerves. I'll put you behind this dam because I can't worry about you right now because there's the wedding. I got to worry about that. So I'm just I recognize you. I'm putting you over here.
Yes.
And all of a sudden the dam that is the wedding itself is about to break.
Yep.
Because it's going to be gone. And then all those nerves are going to come flooding back.
And you're going to be like, oh no.
And are you like fearful of like this, like the tsunami?
I think that I'm just fearful that like that I have like very safely tucked away those nerves for quite some time, and just that like I'm gonna have to like look at them, you know, and seem like, oh man,
No.
But on the whole, for what it's worth, I am every single day more and more and more excited, like about, you know, getting to meet her and everything, and it's so funny too because like there is some amount of truth to the fact that like the more friends that you have that have kids and like the more times you've like kind of gone through the motions and everything, there starts to sort of be that like at first, like the first like super close baby to me, like in my proximity was Luke.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like just the very fact that he was there, that I could hold him, that there were like onesies, like every single thing about like him being this like new member of our family was like cool and fun and exciting.
Right.
And like I was taking in like every morsel of it. But then there's also kind of like the very simple reality of like tiny babies, which is that they basically sleep, poop, and eat.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't get to like know their personality that much. Like I get excited as like all the kids get older because it's like, oh, I can see them like make choices.
Yeah.
And like that is like what's really interesting. Like what are they going to do? What are they going to be like? How much are they going to be like my brother? Like, you know, all of these types of things. And I would say with our baby, it's like we know the times of day like that she kicks the most. And to me, like that's already personality.
Right.
It's like I'm already like, wow, you are just incredible.
Whoa.
It's like mornings and evenings,
Morning
like clockwork.
and- yeah.
It's awesome. You know, so it's like so far from like, you know, a choice.
Yeah.
Like the types of things I just described, personality, but it's like, no, I'm getting to know her. I now know things about you. And it's like, that's amazing.
It is crazy.
It's so cool. So
It's-
on the whole, I don't want anybody to think that I'm not like more excited than anything else.
It sounds like you're like holding back tears as you're just talking about it.
Yeah, I'm really stoked. I'm really stoked.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting. But just know, Ben, that there is a parental inevitability that one day it's just going to be you and your little girl and she's going to have sponges.
No. not gonna be able to stand it.
Yeah, no, you're gonna feel. That's the other thing. Yeah, like I said, they were Nick and Nate all weekend, and I'm just like, it's stressing me out, and it's like so much work. But then you go put them down, and you just look at them, and just like, I just love you so much. I want you to feel better.
I know. It's like the empathy that I'm sure that you have with your own kids is just like beyond anything. And that's the other thing too, is I like you've talked about it before. I think like the realization, like being able to watch some of the Pixar movies from like the parent's perspective instead of like from typically assuming like that you are Andy, that you are Riley. It's like now all of a sudden maybe you are like the parents of those characters.
Oh yeah.
And that new lens. The other thing too, though, for me is that has like filled in a little bit is starting to review moments of my life more from mom and dad's perspective than my own.
Yeah.
And being like, oh my gosh, what must it have been like? So like we've told like the story about like my speech contest that just got like completely like botched or whatever. Like as a kid, probably like one of the hardest like individual moments that I had to go through, which on the whole was probably saying a lot, that like that was like one of my bigger struggles. But I really can't imagine what it was like for mom.
Oh yeah.
Like having to like watch that happen.
Yeah, like no.
It'd be like, oh no, he's going to talk about this on a podcast 20 years from now, which I am. More than that, like 23 years from now.
23 years from now. Yeah. When do you think podcast was first introduced to the dictionary?
Good question. Should we throw out random numbers and have Ethan fact check us?
Okay, let me guess. I'm going to say has to at least be after the first iPod. Right?
Do you think so? Do you think that iPods were named after podcasts?
I think podcasts were named after iPods. Yeah.
Well, when was the first iPod then?
Oh, it was like, okay, when did because our dad's cousin Nate had a Gen 1 iPod. Do you remember? He had it on your now boat in Vermont one year, and he had it like plugged into the boat, and he had like the physical wheel that you spun on it. Which, by the way, the wheels were way cooler than touchscreens.
The wheels were
so cool.
They were very, very
cool.
satisfying.
Anyway.
Okay. So I'm gonna go with the first time the word podcast was used was in 1998.
1998.
I think so.
I think it's got to be post 2000. I think it's like 2004 or something.
Oh, that seems way too late to me.
Way too late.
Way too late. I think way too late. But one of us will be right. One of us will be wrong.
One of us will be. Yes. Sure. It has to be once, like Apple started, because I think you made podcasts. I think it's an Apple. I don't know, but this is. I think podcasts are named after iPods because you made them on Apple computers, and it was like an export. Like it was like export as iPod or like podcast or something.
Okay.
I'm gonna say like 2004. I'm sticking with it. Yeah.
Stick with it. In the meantime, folks at home, if you would like to continue to consume the video portion of this podcast, I would recommend you head on over to youtube.com/popcornculture, where we have a dedicated YouTube page specifically for this show. If you want to click that subscribe button, it's going to be, I believe, August 13th will be the first Friday premiere episode, which will be live over there instead of on the Super Carlin Brothers channel. So be sure to go and check that out. If you would like to support Popcorn Culture, you could do so by going to patreon.com/popcorn culture. We have all sorts of really cool shows that we do out over there, including a live stream event, which I believe is happening on today's episode immediately after, where there is a Q&A with you and I.
Q&A with you and I.
Q&A with you and I. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah. And that's like where folks over on Patreon can ask us any questions that they might have. And we can, kind of have a fun back and forth dialogue with those people instead of sort of like the static dialogue that we have right now, where we talk and then like responses are sent and then we listen to those responses and we talk about them and so on and so forth. So again, that's patreon.com/popcorn culture. Otherwise, you can find us on Reddit, which is just popcorn culture. And if you have any feedback you want to send me via email, it's popcornculturepod@gmail.com. Otherwise, guys, until next week,
Pop.